Hi, I want to welcome you to your new course, LD0525. This is a course in the new curriculum that is actually working for those of you that aren't in the new curriculum as the capstone course for the MA program. What it will be is primarily in small groups, precept groups. Most of you will be online, but about a third of you will be in some face-to-face precepts, which I've just sent you a link to work out those groups in those times. What I want to do really quickly is, before we get to that first week, which is the week of March 23rd, I want to walk through the syllabus with you right now, and so you have a sense of how this will go. And then I will give you the opportunity in the next few weeks to get a hold of me. So if you haven't, pull up your syllabus and let's walk through it. First of all, the learning outcomes. For those of you in children, youth, and family, some of these will be a repeat of or a revisiting of some of the things that we started early in your process. For those of you that aren't in the Children, Youth, and Family program, these are also things that are covered in your master's as well. I know some of you had reading the audiences or the new course that's in the MA curriculum this year. So those are some other kind of pieces to go at. So there are 4 learning outcomes. One is that you refine and revisit your view of church, your missional ecclesiology, and your theology of leadership. These are leadership degrees, and so one of the things that we really want you to walk away with is a chance for you to look at and say, hey, what do I believe church to be, and what do I think my theology is about leadership, not just my leadership skills. So, and those are in light of your own program learning outcomes. So you will get to look at what those are for each of the programs that you're in. Second, to take a step back and assess yourself as a Christian public leader in light of the competencies in your concentration area. Some of those in Children, Youth, and Family have already been established. Some of you, we may have to have some conversation, but I'm happy to do that and show you just some places where those might be. Third is to create your own ministry resource in the area of your concentration. Many of you have been picking up those things along the way, but maybe they're not all in one place. And so this is a way to put those together. And the fourth one is really to set you up to win after graduation, and that you're doing your own peer-to-peer learning and helping each other think about themselves in leadership and to the challenges that they have. So with that, those are the 4 outcomes. What you're putting together is what we're calling a portfolio, but basically it's a collection of artifacts that will demonstrate and be able to be used not only for this class, but out in for an interview or for other settings to kind of demonstrate. It says here the pedagogical approach is all going to be really about you working together and doing kind of a new kind of learning. I will be checking in with you via your reflections each week on how that group is going and jump in. And then I'll be grading each of your pieces and giving you feedback there. There are weekly assignments. You'll see that on page 2. Each week, students will be have an assignment. They will vary from week to week depending on what that is. This is to prime the pump for the assignment that will be turned into me in a week or so after that discussion area. And that becomes those assignments that make up those portfolios. For those of you in the face-to-face conversation, yours will be done just a little bit differently. But those online, will post those each week, and people will give you reflections on that, and then you will have their input to get to the assignment. For those of you that are doing it in face-to-face, you will have the opportunity to talk to each other, and then one person each week will post the conversation so that I can have access to that. Group participation. Students will be divided into precepts, no more than 4 to 5. I may even have 3 in some groups, depending on where we are with that. I want to make sure there's enough time that you're getting really good feedback for each other, but about 4 students will be the ideal. A word on your portfolio. If you look at page 3, it looks at all of the pieces. So I'm just going to quickly walk through each of those with you. So a personal assessment on your competencies. For those of you in Children, Youth, and Family, I will post the 6, 7, 8, but they're also available right now. If you go to the link of the Children, Youth, and Family sample portfolio, they are listed on there. And those are some theological things, some areas of within theory and some practical leadership skills. Each of your, no matter what program you're in, I would like you to think about yourself in each of those categories, theologically, theoretically, as well as in practical leadership. And the reflection for the assignment will be 4 to 7 pages, equally divided through these 3 areas. So it's not just a 1-page quick reflection. We want you to really go deeper and kind of say, where have you grown? What are your still challenges? What are some areas that you've really maybe come alive for you while you were in seminary? Theologically or theoretically, maybe nonviolent communication really became something that was important for you. Or maybe you really learned how to use digital media as a ministry tool, and that's a skill, a practical leadership skill that you want to bring forward. Those would be some examples. Second, some of you have been in formal cohorts, but all of you have participated in community life here at Luther Seminary in some way, whether you're a distributed learner or whether you're on campus more frequently than that. So B, that part, is a chance for you to reflect on what that community, how were you formed and shaped outside of the classroom with other students and within the community life. Maybe for some of you in the distributed learning program, it was those late night conversations with peers in the dorm or in Stube Hall, or maybe it was a silent retreat, or I don't know what it was. But how is it for you that chapel and your peers in these activities have formed and shaped you as a Christian public leader? And so that is 2 to 3 pages, and that's part B. C is contextual learning. Now, all of you have been doing, if you've been in a formal program, some kind of reflections along the way. And so this is a chance to go back to those pieces. Maybe this is in sync with your exit interview, with your context, but given that this commitment, it's time for you to step back and reflect on the impact this has had, that you were in context leading while you were also studying in a classroom. This is different. This is a unique piece about the Children, Youth, and Family program, or some of the other concentrations that have a contextual component woven in, rather than kind of you do the school work and then you do the learning. So reflections should address these areas. First, share a story that impacted your view of ministry leadership within your concentration, and why was that important? Maybe you encountered a young person or a family in a context that really made this come alive for you, or maybe they challenged you to think differently. Some kind of story. B, how was learning in each of these competency areas, the theological, theoretical, and ministry areas, ministry skills, impacted? We know that there's a limitation to what can happen in a classroom. And so this is a chance for you to think about all 3 of those areas and what learning happened in your context. And then see, how did they learn, how did you, the leader, learn about yourself as a leader? Were there things that you just became aware of? You're like, you know what, I'm too busy. I need to hand stuff off. I need to collaborate. Is it something around new skills you needed to learn, or new competencies? And this one, while it has 3 areas, is only 3 to 4 pages. So this is not a long, in-depth piece. It's more of making sure you kind of cover those areas. So that has to do with your context. The next one, D, is your annotated bibliography and your matrix. Now, those of you in Children, Youth, and Family 4515, we did that already. And so I encourage you to look at that. And here's what that includes. Create an annotated bibliography for your ministry area in general, and then one area of specialty. Now, all of you are working on senior projects. I would encourage you to have that area just be what you're already working for in your annotated bibliography. Sources should be cited correctly using Chicago style, and annotations should be no longer than 100 words. They should have a minimum of 5 theological resources, 5 theoretical, 5 practical, and 5 within your specialty. So a minimum of 20. So I hope that helps you with regard to that. They can be links to online things. They can be articles, they can be books, whatever. All right. E, theological commitments and ecclesiology. This one is a little bigger endeavor, but again, you have already done this if you've been in either reading the audiences or if you've been in CY 4515. And so this is your chance to claim some theological commitments and then say, what does that mean for your view of church? The paper will be 4 to 5 pages in length, and each of those areas should be approximately the same. Note that sources should be quoted in this and or noted in your footnotes. Like even if you don't want to go in depth, but you just want to refer to this person for more information on this, that would be great. Minimum of one source per theological commitment and 3 sources for your ecclesiology. It's really important for me that you are able to put these now at the end of your process into conversation, that you're just not just summarizing, that you're actually putting other people into conversation. F is your theological understanding of ministry in your concentration, whether that's pastoral care, congregational mission and leadership, or children, youth, and family. And again, this is 3 to 5 pages, should have at least 5 sources that would go with that. Again, in CY 4515, we've covered that. You've covered it in different classes in the children, youth, and family, or in stewardship, or in your other classes in the other concentrations. So I just invite you to go back, pick one of those, and work from there. G is your theology of leadership as a Christian public leader, and then your own personal reflections. Again, this is 3 to 5 pages. It's not very long in length. It should have at least 3 sources on leadership, and make sure that you're thinking about what does it mean for you now that where you are. And the very last thing, which is basically a conversation piece at the very end, is what are your learning goals post-graduation? That's just a chance for you to kind of think about yourself as a lifelong learner and wonder what's next. That's what I got. If you have any questions, email me at telton, and I'm happy to work from there. Thanks.